Hi there, and welcome back to the Fuse Show. My name is David Tran. I'm a co-founder of Xfusion.io and also a co-host of the Fuse Show. Today, I'm joined by Ariel Assaraf, and he is the co-founder and CEO of Coralogix. Thanks for joining the show, Ariel.
Thank you very much, David. Great to be here.
So just for our audience sake, can you provide a quick background of what Coralogix does?
Sure. What Coralogix does, it brings streaming analytics into the world of observability and security. So instead of storing all the data and then running, periodic queries and aggregations on storage, we analyze the data in stream in real time, which gives our customers faster, more reliable insights, 75% cost reduction, better compatibility with the cloud infrastructure that they're running, and automatic CI/CD benchmarks, things that are very useful to them, and also allows them to get rid of some of the biggest problems in observability, which is the limitation of retention with our remote archive queries and the limits that storage and storage schema bring.
So out of all of our guests, you as well as your company are probably in the more mature side of reaching product market fit and developing like a whole roster of really recognizable clients and a ton of features that everyone's already asked for. Could you walk me through this journey of how you first discovered this problem space to where you are today?
Oh, wow, that's okay. That's a long story. I'll try to make it short. When we started the company, it was 2015. There were other solutions, but the whole adoption of cloud wasn't that common. And I remember investors telling us, "You think people will send their log data to the cloud? You got to be kidding me!" And it was funny. And then we just thought, let's do like Splunk only on cloud, which is sort of what Sumo Logic had done very successfully in IPO. And we started doing that, and we failed miserably because there were already companies doing that really well, and those companies were already worth hundreds of millions and already well-funded and well-established, and their product was just good or good enough. And then let's fast forward 3 years, we're zero revenue, zero customers. The company kind of started to dissolve. People left, management left, investors got a little bit tired of the company and a little bit anxious and kind of saying, okay, let's put an end to this. But luckily for us, there was not enough in the bank for them to even care about closing the company and splitting the. But they just said, okay, you guys are 5 people, you have like 200 grand, do whatever you want, let's try to make it happen. But then something interesting happened. So I became CEO. Yoni, my now co-founder, became CTO because the CTO left. And we started doing things a little bit different. There's a whole strategy that we created that said, first of all, let's find an edge. And our edge back then was the automatic version benchmarks. Before, we've done that from stream, just from storage, but we would take like the previous version data and compare it to the current version data and create some sort of fusion and alert on changes between versions. And a lot of people, specifically the more modern infrastructure, high performance teams that we tried to sell to. And we went by a method we call battle by battle. So we, instead of trying to conquer the market when we're tiny, we use our competitive advantage in the go-to-market space, which is in go-to-market, we don't have enough funding, brand, salespeople, marketing people, but our goals are lower. So if other companies need to sell tens of millions to be successful, we just need to sell $10,000 a month, and we are out of the grave. And what we've done, we just went company by company and asked them, what is it that you need? And fixed and iterated really quickly for that company. We didn't take any leads, anything at that time. Closed that customer, he's happy, and now we move to the next one. And every customer was some sort of archetype of something. So we chose them, like size, industry, geography, the type of people that we interacted with, the amount of data, the use case. And And we closed 1, 2, 3, 4. It was like 10, 15 customers just like that. I flew all the way to San Francisco from Israel for 2 weeks to close a $500 a month customer. Person, looked at the data, helped them on board. He was shocked because, anyone else, any other product would just send him to the tutorials page and say good luck.
Right.
We started getting it, and suddenly we onboarded the Heroku marketplace now. And suddenly a lot of small startups started signing in just to try the product. But because we were already serving 10, 15 companies really well, these companies started liking it. And we started getting traction. I remember when we onboarded one of the guys that later left because he was sure that the company's going to close. He was looking for a job. He said, you need 100 installs in Heroku to just become official as an add-on. We have 15 customers in 3.5 years now. What are you trying to do? And I said, you never know. And secondly, the product is very different now. It actually gives value. And then I started pushing. I would go to forums and Reddit, and I would comment and send people DMs, and I would join any. So Ruby was big back then on Heroku. It was mostly Ruby. I would join any Ruby group. I would join Ruby groups in Korea, translate it with Google Translate, try to figure out what they're saying, and put a link to Coralogix when it's relevant. And we actually got 100 people to provision, made it official, and started generating revenue. We got to like $20,000 a month now. And then the board showed huge amount of trust and said, you know what, take $2.5 million more, and let's see what you can do now. And ever since it's history. So let's put it this way. First 4 years, we raised $3.5 million, including those 2.5 that they gave to us. And 2 years since, we raised $100 million because finally we had the resources and we started scaling. And all these small customers, they're the best way for you. They're like this, the device that measures when there's an earthquake. The smaller ones are the first ones to notice when there are problems with the product because they are easy to onboard, easy to offboard. They care about each and every dollar way more than the bigger customers.
Yeah.
And if the product isn't great, they'll leave. And we start really listening to them. And before we started recording, you mentioned support. So we give 24/7 until this day, 24/7 support in under 2 minutes as a commitment to our customers contractually. And we already have 2,000 paying customers. At the beginning, I decided to say, we'll do that. And we were 5 people, remember.
So you didn't sleep. No one slept.
It was me. I was the 24/7 support for about a year. And I would get up in the middle of the night. I would put my phone next to my bed at the highest volume. And when intercom chirped, it was like, I was really on it, and people thought we're bigger than what we are. I remember one thing, we closed Playbuzz. Playbuzz was back then really successful. And a reseller brought us there, and the guy called him before he signed the PO and said, listen, I trust you, I like you, you saw a lot of great stuff to me, I like Coralogix, but tell me the truth now. Is there anyone else in this company besides Ariel? And he said, why are you asking? He said, listen, you made an intro to him. He sent materials. He came to the meeting. He ran the demo. He helped us integrate. He gave a demo on our own data. And then when we came to the chat, he was answering us at any time. And now you're sending me a PO with his name and he signed on it. Is this a real company? And then he actually told him the truth. He said, it's him. Imagine how great the service is going to be when there are more people in this company. We were 5. So there was R&D and me, basically. And then we started looking for the real edge. So how do we go upstream now to the bigger clients? And we figured that one of the biggest pain points in observability is the latency, the delay in insights. Everybody talk about proactive, but inherently in products that are based on storage, alerts are inherently delayed by at least 5-10 minutes.
Right.
So because it's scheduled queries. So we said
Right.
that's one thing we're going to solve. But the second biggest problem is cost. When you go to bigger customers, so $100, $200 a month doesn't matter. But when a customer pays $100,000 a month, it's super expensive. Now, the way to solve that, either you say I give up on margin, or you say I do compression, or I get it, I go to a private data center. What we've done is we said we need to build something that is scalable. Let's re-architect this. And then we kind of flipped, and instead of indexing then analyzing, we now analyze and only then index. So we built a service called Streama that takes all the data in stream, analyzes, including stateful things. So it's a little of an oxymoron where on one hand we say real time and on the fly analysis, but on the other hand, we analyze things that have a long-term state. So in real time, but I can still tell you that I've seen an event that I haven't seen for 3 months. So the state is our state store, the real-time engine store, instead of the storage, which is the state of other systems. We launched that, and then we would go to the big companies and say, guys, we can give you whatever you're doing at about 30% of the cost with faster analytics, 24/7 support under 2 minutes, some really advanced analytics that we've baked into the product because it's much easier to do that. It's easier to fish upstream than in the middle of the lake. And we always talk about streaming and data streaming and versus data lakes. You hear data lake, the term itself, it is so associated with staleness. It brings mosquitoes. It's not great to be stale when data is at rest. It becomes expensive and slow and ad hoc to create insights. So we started doing that by stream, and we gained really nice traction. Companies like Fiverr and Monday and Armis and the Class, and some huge enterprises that we can't mention, started really understanding what we're doing and started really onboarding. And actually, just 3 months ago, we ran our first NPS to about 6,000 customers. Getting developers to answer surveys is much harder than getting to product market fit, but a couple hundreds answered, and we actually were amazed that we're at 64, which is way over
phenomenal.
the market, because more than advanced analytics, more than anything, what people want is a fair and predictable pricing and economic model, and very good support that cares about the product, that is there 24/7, is very professional. And this is what we're always, improving while expanding the platform from logs to metrics to security information and so on. That's the not so short story of our product market fit till today.
So when you think about the people who come to you and use your platform, what is it the number one thing that most of them are seeking? Is it analytics? Is it alerting? Is it compliance? Like, if you had to narrow it down just to one benefit, what is the top or most common one?
The most common one, I would say, is data analytics, visualization, data drilling, and extraction and reporting. It is starting to shift towards alerting and anomaly detection because the sheer amount of data just makes it possible to ad hoc analyze it. Compliance, I think, is a use case that is mostly solved. We're not seeing many of that anymore. We help our customers become compliant, but it's not the reason for them to choose.
I see.
But mostly that, and also cost containment. What's happening now is that the legacy architecture of storing and then analyzing is becoming so expensive that customers start to cherry pick data, and you're not collecting this, you're not collecting that, and what happens is you're starting to lose coverage, which is not good at all for compliance, even worse for monitoring, but way worse for security. And you think about the pace that data grows. We're talking about it's exponentially growing. We always tell our customers it grows faster than your revenue for sure. So if you tie, no matter how successful you are, the data will grow faster. So if you tie the cost to the data, you're basically defining an equation that will hurt your margins long run. But mostly when you think 3, 4, 5 years ago, it'll be just impossible because, a medium company would generate tens or hundreds of terabytes a day, and then it would just be impossible to store everything and run analytics unless you use tremendous amount of compute. So a lot of them are seeking cost containment. They are renewing. They just got an overage bill. They just got blocked, and they come from that. But then they get that experience, the real-timeness, the analytics, the support, the ease of use, and so on, and they stick around.
Was the pricing model today always been the same pricing model since the very beginning?
No, it is very different. So when we launched Screamo, we changed it to charge per use case. So it used to be like price per gig, like everyone else. You send a gigabyte, you pay $1. You send 2, you pay $2, and so on and so forth. What we've done, we said, but not all logs are the same.
Right.
We came up with a post like 2 years ago before we launched this. We said not all logs were born equal, and we figured that we're not in a time where you can say such sentences and sound good. So we stopped, and we figured that you actually nailed it really well now. What you just said, you said, is it the analytics? Is it the monitoring? Is it the compliance? Those are actually the 3 use cases that we support, and they have different pricing. So data analytics is data that you frequently search. You always need it. You need it hot stored. You need it replicated. Right. You can never lose it. You have it available all the time. That has a price. 66% below, 2/3 below, there's the monitoring use case where we analyze. You get live tail, alerts, anomalies, dashboards, metrics, extraction. You parse the data, enrich data, and you do whatever you want. But then the data, instead of going to the hot index, goes to the archive. You can also query the archive, just lower SLA. And below that, another 2/3, there's the compliance use case, where you send the data, you view it live, you parse it, but it goes directly to your own archive forever, and you can query it if you need, if there's an audit. And then you choose per application, subsystem, and data severity exactly where you route it. You can define policies so the organizations follow them. That really helps people contain costs. And each and every one of the tiers is better than the alternatives because we just, whenever you focus on something, when we focus on how do we make frequent search incredible, concurrency, performance, durability, and then because the index doesn't take any queries that are system, like no scheduled queries or anything like that, only user queries, it is very resilient and very fast because the monitoring tier is real-time, no latency, no storage, then it's faster and it can do more because there's no dependency of storage size that you're querying or schema. And because the compliance allows you to query your own archive directly, there's no retention limitation, and there's no compliance issues with compliance data sitting outside your cloud at rest. So all 3 actually give better experience to our customers.
One of the things you mentioned earlier, something I saw on your site, was anomaly detection. And I think for me, anomaly detection has always been a pie in the sky dream. I've worked at Salesforce and I've worked at Uber, and both of them were trying to implement various types of anomaly detection. And you run into one of 2 common problems. You're either under alerting or over alerting. How's that? How's your team tackling that?
I love this question because I think it's very frank and honest. Okay. One time an investor asked us, so your anomaly detection, is this what makes you better than the others? It's the AI, the machine learning. And I said, I wish I had the face to tell you, yes, we have these crazy algorithms and we detect insane problems. To be honest, we're more of an engineering company. We excel in engineering. It's the data pipeline, it's the uptime, it's the performance, it's the way that you can manipulate and send the data to different places, it's the way that you can integrate any dashboard, you can use multiple syntaxes. This is where people get value. Machine learning is there, so we have flow anomalies and error spike anomalies and detection of normal behaviors and more than usual alerting. Those things, they give value that many times people don't know how to comprehend. That's one. They actually, we found the balance not to alert too many times, but we do that actually on so we prefer false negatives over false positives, but it has its cost. And we actually recommend our customers, we say, if there's a scenario that you can describe, define the alert for it. Don't
Okay, I see.
anomalies. I think many companies are actually getting sober of that idea, and you see Datadog is such a successful company, and they're doing such an incredible job in observability. They have anomaly detection in various areas, but they're definitely not putting it at the front. They make sure you understand as an engineer, onboarding is easy, integration is easy, infrastructure is resilient, you have a nice view of your entire data from different types. This is what people care about. And then I ask investors, when they challenge this theory, I actually ask them, when is the last time that you, not the company that serves you got value out of machine learning that made you say, wow, for a B2B product? And I'll ask you that, David, when's the last time a B2B product gave you an automatic machine learning? Now, we know that Facebook, for instance, and Instagram and Snapchat, whatever, they make incredible value for themselves from machine learning.
Right.
What to serve you and so on and so forth.
Right.
But what did you get that made you feel like this was an important insight? And there are examples, but it's not easy.
Right. I'm actually struggling to think of that one.
I see you thinking. I see that
maybe the autocomplete, maybe the recommendation for like lead generation tools, maybe autocomplete for like Google emails for like when you just make sure like, hey, did you forget to do this? Maybe you want to recommend this. But it's relatively weak. It doesn't amaze me, but it is there.
But isn't it just like rule sets? I mean, you wrote a test and it's not there. That's not like...
Right.
I'm sure Google does more advanced AI. So there are areas, by the way, for B2C, there are areas. So, obviously autonomous cars and a bunch of great things that are happening. In the world of image recognition, there's a lot. But in B2B tools, it's your work. You are trying to get a superpower for things that you already know how to do and you want it done instead of you. So there's, everyone talk about that Donald Rumsfeld speech of the known knowns, the known unknowns, the unknown unknowns.
Known unknowns.
And durability. So I think known knowns and known unknowns are like 90% of the use case. Unknown unknowns mostly require you to structure, collect, and make the data accessible and high availability for long term. Anomaly detection can help with unknown unknowns for sure, but it will not cover that part. So that's a great observation that you made there.
Okay. And let's say someone like watches this episode or hears about your company through other means. They're like, dang, I want those benefits for my data. How long does it typically take a customer to adopt your software and platform?
That was also a challenge that we've had when we started. So it's not only it's hard to convert, it's also why. So there's like, why should I buy you? And then why now? Right? And how do you answer? How do you create that compelling event? Because there's a lot of work to be done to do the transfer. And when we started, and why you, obviously, because we're a tiny company and you might not be here next year, when I looked 2-3 years ago. And what we've done is actually we decided that, and it made our path much, much longer. We decided that we're supporting all the most common open source syntaxes and dashboards. So we allow our customers, so the real-time pipeline doesn't use Elastic at all, of course. It's based off Kafka and Streamlit we created, but it supports SQL and the Elasticsearch syntax. So you can define alerts without Elastic using the Elastic syntax. You can plug Kibana to Coralogix or Grafana or an SQL client or Tableau. You can use an Elastic-like API to pull the data. And you can use an SQL API to pull the data. And then that just makes life easier for people because we say, move your dashboards from Kibana, connect Coralogix as a data source for your Grafana and Tableau. You use the same syntax. You import the alerts. Everything's simpler. And what happens many times when we convert users, we see them using their old dashboard in our analysis, and you actually see like a wave of gradually starting to use more and more of Coralogix when they get to know it and gain trust. So it's like a nice way to onboard people without having them taking too much of a risk.
Do you ever face friction with companies that have an internal team working on an internal equivalent to what you're building?
Of course. So the challenge is not objective. It's more about emotions.
Okay.
So, the IKEA effect, we like things that we build on our own. This is why people don't throw away their IKEA furniture. When you build your own homegrown solution, it is something that you create. There are emotions to that. Now, we are a consumer of SaaS products ourselves, right? And we just a few months back, we had a demo from a company that does continuous delivery. So we built our own pipeline based on Concourse. Incredible. Like, we released that as open source, and the guys have built something amazing. But then, like, 2 people were only maintaining that. And they got a demo from this company that does continuous delivery, and it was great. It was better than what we have. 0 friction, easy onboarding, fully managed, and they just didn't want it. And I said, guys, what is it? Like, what's stopping you? And they had arguments, and the arguments were right. Does it move the needle in a way that tells you, okay, let's stay with what we've built? No, definitely not. So the way for us to handle that is, first of all, there's a full, you can see on our website at Coralogix.com, under solutions, I want to say, you'll see homegrown alternative. There's a full page, and we have a one-pager, and we have a white paper on how do we replace your homegrown alternative and why it is better. And then we approach your emotions also. So we say, first of all, everything that you've built, the dashboards, the API calls, the integration layer, because we also, we do FluentD and Logstash, you don't need to send that anyway. We're only taking the icky part, the maintenance of servers, supporting your internal users. How do I build this? Why aren't my logs coming? Why aren't my metrics saved? And we do that for you 24/7. And all the nice things that you've built, all the business value, it comes together with the Coralogix. You just move it there. And I can't say it helps all the time, but sometimes it helps. It is much easier to come to a company a day after a crisis when you had to wake up. Now, and then you need to explain the management. So this is the bottom up, but the top down, you got to explain, guys, you built this incredible chat app, payment system, game, whatever. And you have some of the best engineers on your team, some of the best ones that understand data, that understand infrastructure, that understand traffic, that understand collection, data modeling, working on an observability tool. I'm already there. I've already built that. Why would you want to compete with me? I do not build games when I'm bored. I pay for gaming companies like yourself. And it most of the time helps. So the business people, I would say homegrown is easier than competing with great companies like ones that I mentioned. And then we have to explain our unique value proposition and the analyze before index architecture and the support of it.
So I have one last question I want to ask you, and that question is, what's something you've been learning in this past year, maybe 2 years, that you wish you knew 3 to 5 years ago?
Wow. I think in hiring, you've learned something, and it's actually now on our website, and it's a lesson we keep learning. Every time we go 1 inch away from this definition that we've created for ourselves, we lose. Hiring in Coralogix has 3 main values that we look for, and we write it on the website in every job that we post. Hungry, humble, and smart, in that order exactly. That's what we always say. In that order exactly. Every time we hired someone who's brilliant but isn't humble, it was a disaster.
Yeah.
Every time we hired someone who's very humble and pretty smart, but wasn't hungry for success. It was a disaster. When we hired people that are hungry for success and humble and want to learn, even if they're not brilliant, they were very successful, and they are very successful. So it really depends on the type of company. I think Google can afford itself to take like genius douchebags. Do a great job, and they'll create like a brilliant algorithm in a dark room. But we're a company that competes with giants in a tough market, and you got to have that hunger and humility to really be in this company and succeed, and understand that it's up to you and how you play the game. And I think this is one of the biggest lessons that we've learned as a company. We are over 100 people worldwide. We have one of the lowest churn rates of employees, also of customers, but definitely of employees. This company never had an HR or a recruiter. Never. It is solely creating that culture of, first of all, by the way, engineering first, product first, customer first, and that hungry, humble, smart attitude, and people just want to join that and enjoy work. So that'll be my biggest lesson.
That's neat. I've never heard of a company of your size that doesn't have an HR department. That's pretty cool.
We are hiring for that. So if my board doesn't hear me, but we are actually hiring for that, because I think it's time to scale, or at least document what we built. But we managed to get there, and we are hiring very fast. Like we were, think about it this way. 15 months ago, we were 18 people. So, yes, we are hiring very fast. And the vast majority of employees were not through recruiting agency or anything like that. Just friends that bring their friends.
That's the best. Everyone wants to. I feel like if you truly value your time at a company, why wouldn't you want to work with all your best friends?
Exactly. That just makes your work a lot more productive, first of all, for us, and a lot more fun for you.
Cool. Well, I've enjoyed this conversation a lot. I didn't know a lot of these things, and I'm thankful for your time. Before we drop off the call, I just wanted to give you an opportunity. If any of the people watching this, whether they're looking for a job, looking to just pick your brain, if they want to reach out to you or follow you along your journey, what's the best way for them to do so?
So the easiest way is just to email Ariel@Coralogix.com. It's easy. Now, I get so much spam every day that I don't mind just saying that now. So Ariel@Coralogix.com, or just add me on LinkedIn or Twitter. I think that another thing that we've learned is that there was not a single time when we've done something good for the community or helped someone without it being also beneficial for us, even if it's 5 years later down the road. So just if there's anything that I can help with, just let me know, and visit Coralogix.com. There's the 24/7 chat is also there. If you want to learn more or ask anything, just go ahead.
Sounds good. I also live by the same philosophy, and I'm thankful to see more people have that as well. Thanks again for your time, Ariel.
This podcast is exactly it, I guess. Yeah. Thank you very much, David. Enjoyed it.